to the Hitch to the Stitch Knitting and Craft podcast. My name's Zoe, and I haven't checked in a while with all the things that I've been making, so I've got a fair few things to run through today, but I want to keep it kind of short and sweet. So I've got 2 finished objects, 4 works in progress, and actually 5 if you include at the end. I'll just show you some ceramics that I did, just one piece at the moment. So I guess 5 works in projects and 2 swatches for upcoming. So the finished or the works in progress are sort of towards the end of all of their parts. So I've got only a little bit left to do on all of those, and we'll be moving on soon. I live in Melbourne, Australia, so it's just starting to get quite cold again, which is exciting to get into the winter knits. There was a few summer knits that I wanted to get done, but I think they're going to have to just be longer, slower projects. So without further ado, I'll get into my knitting so far. So the finished object that I'm really proud of is this one. It is a men's sweater. It's called the Reverso Pullover, and it's just such a gorgeous finish. I highly recommend this pattern. Now, there was a mistake that I'd made with it. Essentially, I think it's supposed to be in fisherman's rib, and perhaps I watched a bad tutorial, but I'm pretty sure I've ended up doing brioche stitch. So this one took months of really long concentrated effort. Ever since maybe August last year, I finished it in January, or I think I finished it in January. So this was a really long one coming. It is for a friend, and I'm really happy with the finished product, and so is he. It looks great on, it fits really nicely. These bits here, it just looks very polished, and the fabric is really, really beautiful. What yarn did I use again? Because I definitely want to use it again. It's called Camarose Snefnug. I highly recommend the yarn. I haven't seen, he hasn't worn it too much yet, because I've just put in, where did I put it? I think I also sewed in a little tag that is upside down. It just says with love, or handmade with love from Zoe. So I just sometimes put them in the things that I make. So he hasn't had a chance to wear this an awful lot yet, because it hasn't been cold enough, but it's just starting to get cold enough. And so it's brioche for me, fisherman's rib for everyone else perhaps, and then just a rib at the end of the cuffs. And I like also the way that the neck was joined. I can't remember the exact technique, but it has this really nice, it's kind of almost like a rope bump here, and it just gives it a very clean finish between the body and the neckline. Yeah, I highly recommend this again, or to someone to make. It did make me realize why people said brioche is, it's a brave choice to do a whole jumper in brioche. It's just, the effort was a lot more than I thought it would be to make this sweater. And I can't imagine making another garment, or maybe just one for me, but I'd never make a brioche garment for anyone else again. It's just too much time. It grows at like half the pace, but the effect is beautiful. So I would like one someday for myself. I'll probably need maybe a couple years before I get into a brioche thing for myself, just because of how painful this one was to complete. But happy with the finished object, so I'll move on to my next finished object. This one was, I found these amazing mohairs. I've still got a few ends to weave in, but I found these amazing mohairs in Japan when I was on a trip, and I just wanted to combine them all to be a sort of gradient scarf, and I'll pop it on. And it's just a really pretty, it feels like an angel's wing. It's so soft and beautiful. And if you want to know more about the yarn or where I purchased it, I have a Japan knitting vlog, so you can go check that one out. But it's just the most beautiful, maybe you can see the halo there. It's just the most stunning mohair. I usually go with Isuga soft silk mohair. I think that's my favorite of the accessible ones. This is just as beautiful, but not as accessible. And I'm not sure if there was a specific brand, but you'd have to check out my YouTube vlog. So this one, yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this came out. It is just a tube. They had a example like tube knitted up in the store, and I thought I'm going to do exactly just that. So I think there was 100 or so stitches, and I maybe used 4.5 millimeter needle, and with just, I think I combined, yes, I held 2 strands together, you can see, because I haven't woven it in yet, the ends. 2 strands held together, and it just makes this beautiful, soft, airy fabric that I'm really looking forward to wearing in the winter. So I'll take this one off. Those are my 2 finished objects, and I'll move into my works in progress. The major work in progress that I have is this sweater, which is turning out so beautifully. This is the Helia sweater by Joanna Ang, and that's the back. Here's the front, and I'm holding, I think it's the Knitting for Olive, I'm pretty sure it's just the wool. I can't remember its full name. Everything will be, I'll put it in the description box, as well as this special mohair type thing that I got from my trip when I was in Venice. So I just held these together, and it makes this beautiful fabric. But the special thing about this pattern is the sleeves. So they've got this beautiful pattern all down the sleeves, and then the back of the sleeve is just twisted rib, and I'm a huge fan of the look of twisted rib. I just think it's very nice and neat, and I feel like it kind of removes, sometimes 1x1 rib can look to me a little bit wonky, so I feel like twisted rib fixes that, and I just like the sharp effect that it gives there. So it's a raglan here with twisted rib stitches, and then I've got a split hem here, so the back is just a little bit longer than the front, and I am most of the way through the second sleeve. In about one more repeat of the cables, which is about this long, I'll start to decrease, and then I kept the sleeve. I think I did deviate a little bit at the sleeve just because the length of mine, I maybe overshot or did something funny, but I kind of wanted quite an open still end, so it's actually just a gradual decrease here, and then just another small cinching in here, but it's still quite an open sleeve. So I will finish this in the next couple weeks so I can start wearing it now that it's cold again. That is the last of that one. Definitely, it's not a pattern that I see a lot of people making, especially, I don't know, it might have just been released a while ago, but I think it's a really beautiful one, and maybe deserves a little bit more notice. So that's the Helia sweater by Joanna Ang. The next 2 works in progress that I have are 2 socks. So one for me and one for a friend. I'll go through this one first. This is the Film Reel Socks, and it's color work sock. That is the less nice side actually, because you can see where there's the jogs there. This is the side where it's a bit cleaner. I would say that after blocking, I thought that a little bit of the inconsistencies with the color work would maybe smooth out more than they did. It is quite wide, and I've kept it quite wide because I was quite nervous about the color work and it fitting, because I did a sample initially, which is this one. It was just on smaller needles, and it does look already like this one hasn't even been blocked, but it looks neater, although the stretch is not there. So there's no way this was going over his heel. I couldn't even fit it over my heel. So I went up to, I think it was a 3.25 or I think it was a 3 millimeter for the color work section and 2.75 millimeter for the other sections. Something that I really liked learning with this sock was this is an afterthought heel, and I really like that construction method. I mean, I'm a fan of general the normal slip stitch heel or whatever it's called. That's on the other one. But this was quite fun. It was really nice to learn a new technique with this one, and I'm up to that with the other sock. It's not been blocked. You can see the difference there. And at the moment it's just a funny looking tube. So in here I'll insert a needle above and below, and then I'll put in the afterthought heel. Yeah, I really enjoyed learning this process. I might even film a quick little video of me doing that for this one, just for fun, because these are really nice socks. He loves the movies, so I wanted to make him some movie themed socks, and I like that the color changing yarn almost feels like different scenes of the movie as it progresses through. So that was the thought behind this one. Quite fun. Still, I feel like there's a good bit for me to learn with color work knitting for socks. I would like to make some for myself. I've got a few patterns in mind, but it's not easy because of that stretch factor. Maybe I just need to improve my technique and hold it a little bit looser, but I am a slightly tight knitter. Not too much, but I would say I'm a bit of a tight knitter. And I tried to keep it very loose with this one. The next sock I have one finished one and one almost finished. So I am just starting the heel section here at the moment of this one. And this is the sock. It is the Emma sock by Yucca. And it's got a really nice, pretty finish on the front of the sock. Cool cable details here, some twisted rib, and then a larger cable section. And I was going to initially do this on a different yarn. I did start that project, but it just wasn't, it was a kind of a special yarn, and the gauge was not working out. So I just thought I'd do it with a regular sock yarn. I was a little bit nervous about the, I think it's a 2x1 rib as well on the bottom. I was a little bit nervous about the color of the yarn and how variegated it is, disturbing the pattern, I guess. I think in some ways like a single color yarn would be better for the pattern. You'd notice this a bit more, but I don't mind. I kind of like sometimes, I think next time I would do that, pick a less variegated yarn or color changing, but I still really like the the overall effect. I think it's nice, and I kind of like sometimes when there's a yarn, like I made this black scarf that's got cables throughout it. It took forever. It was cashmere and mohair, and it took so long, about 120 hours to make that scarf. I made it really wide and almost blanket-like. I wear it all the time, but I kind of like that from a distance you can't actually see that there's that much detail in it, and it's only when you're up close and inspecting the scarf, because it's pitch black, that you can see all the detail that's been worked into it, and sometimes I kind of like that. But yeah, probably people won't notice the cables too much, but that's okay. That's more for me. For my handmade socks, I tend to wear them around the house more, and this is actually the shortest sock that I've made, which I didn't mind because it means that it's quite quick, simple process, and you're over and done with it a lot quicker. Don't mind that. And this was toe up. I actually quite like toe up because it means that you can make that decision at this point here. Maybe it opens the door to a little bit more laziness, I guess, when you get to this top point, but I quite like that you can figure out what the sock should be after you've knitted the body, or the main foot section. So yeah, I didn't mind the toe up sock. So that is that one. My last one is actually something that I'm going to have to rip out. I've ripped it out twice now. The first was a mistake of my own. The second's probably a mistake of my own too, but I'm not sure. So the first time, this is the vest Taipei by, I can't remember the designer's name, but the first time I knitted this up, I just forgot the cables. So I just did, I think it's a knit 4, purl 2 perhaps. Yep, purl 2. And then I just completely forgot about adding in the cables. Anyway, so I've took it all out. I made it again. And now I thought I was following the the pattern, and I will have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure I have made this way too wide. This is the back piece. And when I checked my stitches, I had way too many stitches here, and I'm not sure where I'm going to have to rip back to, because I thought that I was following the pattern properly. So I'm going to have to double check. So I don't know if it was me or the pattern. I have a feeling it's probably me, but I was following the pattern quite closely, so I will have to check that. Anyway, I'm really excited to get this one done. I like that it's like this lime yellowy color. I'm very excited to wear a vest like this. I think it'll be really fun, both for winter and for summer. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that one at the moment, because I am going to have to rip out a good portion of this and figure out how much I exactly have to rip off. Hopefully not all the way back to here, but we'll see. Because yeah, I started the increases under the sleeves, and it's just something's wrong here. But yeah, I think that the pattern's really pretty and it'll block out really nicely. So I'm very excited to have this one, but I just don't know when I'll finish it yet. Whether it's going to get too cold for me to really want to focus on it, and I might spend some time on some other things. I've kind of just gotten to the hard point of all the projects, and it's not always a good thing, because then you feel like you've got to, I don't know, sometimes I get home from work's been crazy, and I just want to do some simple knitting, but I'm up to the heel of this one, and it's not hard. I've done lots of heels before, but it just takes a little bit more thought or some pattern reading, and I'm up to the afterthought heel of this one, and I've got to figure out where I am with the pattern of this one. And with this, I've got to start to focus on where I am with the sleeves, and you do have to follow the pattern for this one, so it's not fully mindless when you're on the sleeves. So I'm just in a bit of a I'm at that point where they all just take a little bit more effort, and so I'm desperately wanting to start something else that's going to give me a stocking net, but in some ways I kind of just want to finish all of these, get them off my needle, have 2 new projects or something that I can start on. And those are, I've made some swatches already. This one is for the Winnie sweater. I've got to just check if I've used the needles as per the pattern. The yarn that I'm using is Concept by Katia Cotton Merino. So it's this beautiful pink color. And I think that'll make a really nice sweater. It's looking very nice, and it feels beautiful. The only change that I'm going to make on the Winnie sweater is that I actually want to make a design on the bottom hem of the sleeves and the main body, and I've got just one ball of this white, same yarn, but I haven't decided what pattern I'm going to use yet, so I'll have to do a little bit of research or designing. I kind of want it to be a little bit Turkish or Middle Eastern style, I think. I might just go with, I mean, that's what I want to do, but at the same time, these two colors kind of speak to a more floral design, so I'll have to figure out exactly what I'm doing there. The second swatch I've done is with this, I got this beautiful cone of, it's like a linen tweedy, I'll hold that up to the camera if you can see the different colors coming through it. Yeah, I forgot which needle size I used with this one, and I know that I used what's called for, the needle that's called for this one and for the other one, and then this one I'm not entirely sure. And I keep making this mistake. I think I've seen someone put on tags on their swatches. I think what I'm going to do in future is with the end, I'm going to, depending on the millimeter, I'm going to go, if it's a 5mm needle, I'll do 5 inches of tail. If it's a 3mm needle, I'll put 3 inches of tail, and measuring the tail is going to tell me what the swatch is, so I can pick it up 3 months later, measure it, and know which needles I used, because I don't really want to write tags for everything. Maybe seems a bit, I don't know, I just don't really want to do that. I'd rather use the length of the end. That's not something I thought of though before I did these two swatches, it's just after. Anyway, so this is going to be the Sabai top. Just a nice summer top, so I probably won't, I might put it on my needles and get to the point where I'm doing stocking knit, and just let this one grow when it grows, if I'm wanting something mindless after I get to the point where I join again. Even over the winter I might get this started so that it's ready when it starts to warm up again, but I'm not going to, it's just gotten too cold to really have this be a focus project. So that is my last knitted item today. I just have the ceramics piece that I made to share. So this is what I made. It is an ocean inspired, so we got kind of like a sea urchin there, something there, and then a coral-ish, I don't know, it's just coral, sea urchin, sea creature inspired, and it's got a hole in the top because the idea is that it will be a candle holder, and I'd like to make a set of these 3, so this will probably be the shortest, and then I'll do 2 other taller ones that are all ocean inspired. And yeah, I used to be a ceramics teacher while I was at uni, so I just had some clay at home, invited a friend over, we did some clay stuff, and just had some fun. Anyway, so I would like to get a bit more into my ceramics again, but yeah, you kind of just got to dedicate some time over a weekend, open it up for 3 hours, and make some things. But yeah, that is what I made the other week, and I got to make a matching 2 others, and then I'll take them to a ceramicist, or yeah, to a ceramicist, get them fired in their kiln, and then I've got some glazes as well here that I can glaze them. Yeah, that is the last thing I have to show you today. Thank you for watching. Let me know if there's something that you liked, or if you have any advice. And yeah, that's the end. Okay, I always find it difficult to end these. Thanks for watching, and have a great week. I'll see you later. Bye.